A very good morning. Thanks for clicking on to the November Outlook edition of Vogan's US Outlook. It looks as if we are going to end the month of October on a fairly chilly note across the central and eventually the eastern portion of the United States. Certainly, we have seen a fairly changeable month overall. Of course, we've seen devastating wildfires across California. We've seen tropical activity, and certainly with the MJO in strong phase 5 entering 6, 7, and 8, it looks as if we are going to see a potentially last-minute tropical cyclone hit on either the Gulf Coast or the southeastern half of the United States. Don't believe the tropics by any means is completely done with us just yet. Of course, we've had the Typhoon Lan. Eventually, it was initially a super typhoon, but of course, it weakened significantly on approach to Japan. It's bringing strong winds, heavy flood and rainfall, and the influence of that system is allowing a deeper trough into the United States as we go towards the Halloween period. So it looks as if it could be a rather chilly Halloween across the Midwest and the eastern half of the country, warming up. Big time heat across southwestern California as I speak. We've got the strong east northeasterly winds blowing from the desert towards the coast, of course, crossing over the coastal mountains, funneling through the canyons. And of course, we're talking about temperatures into the as warm as the low 100s across the LA basin area as we go through the next couple of days here. So heatwave conditions here, while we will see a trough driving the first real frost and freeze into the central portion of the country this year so far. So you can see here, this is the GFS ensemble, and the upcoming 5 days looks like this here. Ridge on the west coast, ridge over Labrador, and into the Davis Straits here. Of course, that signifies a push of cold air down through the central portion of the country here. And in the 6 to 10 day period, we see more troughiness, maybe more reinforced troughiness over the east, of course, in response to that recurving West Pacific typhoon, and of course the combination of the West Pacific typhoon and of course the MJO Phase 5 all points to cooler than normal conditions over the eastern half of the country. Even the 11 to 15 day, it looks as if we hold on to the trough in the Great Lakes, but it becomes a little bit less amplified as we go into the period. This is the 2nd of November through the 7th of November, and certainly, like I say, it all points to a cool end to the month of October. I'll have more on that in just a second here. This is the CFS V2, has a somewhat of a different kind of idea in terms of the longer range as the GF compared to the GFS ensemble. It indicates the first 7 days, the initial big ridge in the west coast, big ridge in the eastern half of the country, of course, with the trough in between that. Week 2, it indicates that we have got the trough lifting out. We get more of a ridge extending from the North Atlantic into the eastern half of the country, but also contradictory of that, we've got a ridge extending from the North Pacific up into Alaska, and we need to keep an eye on that as well, because that it would indicate more troughiness into the Great Lakes. If this here features a little bit further east, then we would have more troughiness. But the CFSV2, folks, can be very hard to predict in terms of its accuracy because it tends to be biased warm. Then, as we push into the period, the 6th through the 13th of November, we've got more ridging back into the eastern half of the country once again. And finally, in week 4, it indicates that we do have more in the way of a warmer pattern across the United States overall. So, what is the CFSV2 showing for the month of November overall? Well, it's indicating that we have got more trough, over Canada, ridge over the eastern half of the United States. 2 minute temperature anomaly wise, it looks as if we are going to see a warmer than normal month overall. Now, I think what's quite interesting about this does play in quite nicely with the upper 500 millibar height anomaly um, reflective pattern here. It looks as if it is going to be a cooler than normal Canada into the north central portion of the United States. And I think we're going with the winter overall is that it's going to be cold from the Great Lakes, the Northern Rockies down through the central plain states, but we could have warmer than normal in the west and on the east coast overall. So it's going to be an interesting one. Strength of La Nina, where that La Nina positions its coldest water in the equatorial Pacific, will be very, very crucial in terms of how the upper pattern over the United States and indeed here across Western Europe plays out. So there's a lot of things that are still open to question with regards to this upcoming winter season. It could be a big winter for the northern plain states. It could be a big winter even for the northeastern half of the country. Who knows? As of this time, it's still early on. But I do think that we are going to open the month of November cold. Then it starts to flip back around, and we could have a warm end to the month in the very areas that have been coldest to start with. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching and hope you have a great Monday. Do check out the written November outlook on markvoganweather.com. Bye for now.